we're here at the 74th Annual Grand National Roadster Show, and you've probably seen some of our other videos as we've been doing walkarounds of some of the great cars here, and especially the Amber competitors. But we saw in the background the Allaway booth. Now it's Bobby Alaway of Alaway Street Rods. What we're going to do is we're going to spend a little time right now with Bobby and have him tell us a little something about the Triple Crown. In interest of fairness, I have to say Bobby's partner, Gary Case, isn't here today, so I got to stick up for Gary, because Gary actually does all the work.
He does.
Bobby's just a hero. But no, Bobby, why don't you tell us a little something about the Triple Crown? And start with last year's event.
Last year's event was unbelievable. It was actually very humbling that the people that came, and Gary Case is a good friend of mine. We've been friends for years, and we had a car show in Pigeon Forge for 39 years called The Shades of the Past, and it disinvolved because of some property deals, and so we decided to do the Triple Crown. The Triple Crown was part of the one that you all started with John McLeod, Rick Love, Steve Tracy, and those, and you asked us to do it at the Shades, so and we did, which worked out very well. So we just took that name and moved it right on down to Nashville Super Speedway. That's actually the only place we could find that was big enough we thought that could handle it.
Now, I know we're kidding and we're teasing you and we're working on you pretty hard, but the reality is you and Gary have divvied up the workload. And so I know that your specialty is builders and the site and some of the things that go on at the show that are really hot rod oriented and the entries and whatnot. Tell me a little something about the builders you had last year and maybe some that are coming back this year, because you did one thing, which was the builder's table, the autograph table. Tell us about that.
Well, Brian, the humbling part of it was I knew these guys, of course we all have for years and years and years, and we've all been friends, and that's what I'm proud of. We've all stayed friends with each other forever, and I made a bunch of phone calls and said, I think the first phone call I made was Roy Brzo. And I told Roy, I said, I'm doing a show in Tennessee, and for some reason he thinks he can talk like me, and he says, well, when is it going to be? I'll be there, and sure enough, he showed up, and that was great. Then he brung a bunch of people along with him, and then...
I thought I saw your cousin there, Troy Trepanier. So.
Yeah, my old buddy.
Your old buddy.
Yeah, throws me under the bus all the time, sort of like you. But but I wanted them. The people around home had never got to see some of these people like this, magazines, TV, and stuff like that. And so we set up a little table, sort of a meet and greet, that was supposed to last for like an hour. Probably lasted 2 hours.
I can tell you right now.
The guys loved it.
It was more than that.
Well, they never left. I mean, you were there. Chip was there. Dave Kendig was there. In fact, Chip wanted to help, and I asked Chip, I said, what can you do? Yeah, I mean, he can't walk through this place without stopping and signing an autograph. I said, you can show up, and that would be great. And he said, I sure will. And then Kendig came, and he was a friend. We've known him for a long time, and then he brought his TV show, so it just sort of snowballed.
Tell us a little something. How many exhibitors do you think you had last year?
I think Gary said we had about 131, and 99.9% of them was automotive.
Okay.
They weren't gutter guard salesmen. They weren't this. They were.
No gutter guard salesmen.
Well, no. We probably need them, but they weren't. They were all automotive. They were all great. They was.
Well,
whatever you wanted, you could find there.
Are they coming back this year?
They are. It's plus more.
But now let's tell everyone, those amazing trophies that are given out and have been given out for years come by way of the efforts. It used to be with Classic Instruments and then Rick Love at Vintage Air, but then it would get to Tracy's shop and he'd be doing all the plating, polishing, final assembly, getting it ready, and he did it again this year.
He sure did.
And then what about guitars? They were part of it. Tell me something. They were those...
Steve pulled that string. It was Gibson guitars, and they were for some reason they were black. I don't know why they were black, but they were black. And boy, that was a big hit. You get a guitar. And
let me tell you something. Those were they were remakes of SG1 guitars, which has a lot of history in it that goes back into the 60s. So people who know guitars looked at that and went, now that's cool. And they were real guitars. Now last year we had about 1,700, 1,800 participants, people who drove in their vehicles.
And that's how many we had.
Oh, I know. Yes, these weren't promoter numbers. These were real numbers.
Because I told Gary, I said, whatever the number is what the number's going to be. If we have 7 cars, we're going to tell them we have 7 cars. Well, the ironic thing about this is we had about 1,700 and some change, and everybody said we had 2,500 to 3,000. So they blew the numbers up. We did.
Well, now we're hoping we get 2,500 to 3,000 this coming year. That'd be nice.
We do.
And now, real quick, if I remember correctly, you made this very easy for a family of 4 to get into. Do you remember what the price was to get the family in?
It was $20.
Yeah.
And kids 15 and under are free. And we consider those.
Yeah.
If they're 16, they can drive.
Yeah.
If they're 15 and under, they can't. And it's hard for a family to spend the money that they spend coming. We wanted to make it family friendly.
Yeah.
That you can afford to come to this show.
See, that to me, that's everything. That's
and
so
it's a
very
2-day
cool.
show.
Yeah, Friday,
and Saturday.
Saturday.
Go home on Sunday. Pack it up Friday, Saturday night. But I wouldn't, because we generally have a little something at the hotel.
Well, last year the hotel was great, but it had regular tourists as well as hot rodders. But this year the hotel is what?
It's all hours. About 3 of the hotels around there.
And then we've got several hotels around there that are all filled up with hot rodders as well, right?
Our travel agent will handle all of that. If you can't, she'll find you a room somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's the headquarters filled up pretty quick.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, Bobby,
I
want to thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And so everybody, I hope you're enjoying our other videos here from the 74th Annual Grand National Roadster Show. But I hope you enjoyed this little excerpt about an outstanding bucket list. You've got to do this. It's the Triple Crown of Rodding. And when is it?
September the 6th and 7th.
And that is the weekend after Labor Day. So just remember Labor Day, pack the kids and mom
Always
up.
the weekend after Labor Day.
Always the weekend after Labor Day. And we're at the Nashville Super Speedway.
Nashville Super Speedway.